Hey, welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered After Dark. Tonight, I'm coming straight to you from inside my car. The husband and child, my son, is down here fishing at Matagorda Bay. So I decided to do this so it doesn't have to be much later than what it probably will be. And for that, I apologize, everybody. So tonight's episode, it's going to be a little different. It's maybe a little heavier for some, but it's definitely out of your normal conversation. But it's something every single one of us is going to experience at some point. Tonight, we're going to talk about death. Not in a scary way, not in a depressing way, just being honest, open. Because lately, it feels like death has been close, like it's near, for me at least. I don't know if you've ever gone through seasons where it just seems like everywhere you turn, someone's getting sick, someone passes away, or someone gets that phone call that changes everything. That's kind of where my head has been lately. Like, I just feel like death is amongst me. Like, it's around, it's near. Have any of you felt death around you? Like, do you just know? I've always wondered, is it just me? Or is there more that can feel when death is around? Some people say absolutely no, and some people swear they can. I am one of them. I've talked to nurses, EMTs, hospice workers, people who've spent years around death. Some of them will tell you there were things you just can't explain. Maybe it's a feeling, maybe it's a change of someone's demeanor, maybe it's just the experience, right? I don't know. But I'd love to know what you guys are all thinking. Have any of you ever heard, I'm sorry, have any of you ever had a feeling before someone passed away? Have any of you experienced something you couldn't explain? I have. And do any of you think we're more connected than we realize we really are? And I will say, I don't know, probably 50-50 on that one. But my weird experiences, like shadow people, like who are you and where are you coming from, sir? You know, like the end of that hallway to make a shadow that dark. But yeah. What are any of your guys' experience? Are any of you listeners healthcare related workers or what? What about death in threes? Here's one I've always heard growing up. Death comes in threes. Honestly, how do you guys feel about that? I used to think it was just one of those sayings people repeated. Then I started working in nursing homes. And the more I worked, the more I started noticing patterns. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but maybe not. But it happened enough that I stopped brushing it off and I started paying attention. And lately, it feels like that's happened again. I've had several people that I've worked with over the years pass away recently. Not all on the same day, not even the same week, but close enough together that it made me stop and think. Is there something, or is there something to that? What's it saying? Or is it just our minds looking for patterns because losing people hurts? What are your guys' thoughts? Comments, please. I love getting feedback from you. I I don't know, maybe I just pay too much attention to it. Maybe I put too much thought into it. But I definitely, it's usually a few months in between apart. So I think this guy's trying to take a fishing spot, but all the good spots are taken. Sorry, buddy, you can't sit here. So my grandma, guys. So tonight I'm getting a little bit more personal with you than I usually do, or more than I have. I've been thinking a lot about her lately. After my uncles passed away, she had someone in her life who really stepped up because after my one uncle died, that was her last kid there in state. She does have, like her sister's other siblings, but they're all older themselves. Um, and then my mom just lives in Michigan. I live all the way down here in Texas. Um, been trying to get that lady to move in with me, and I tell her like you ain't nothing to worry about. You ain't even gotta pay for a damn thing, and I'll make sure when you do go back home, I will get you back to Kentucky as you wished. That's been a hell of a fight. He had became her companion. He was there. He helped. He made sure she wasn't alone. Got her to her doctor's, store visits, everything. And recently, he passed away. He passed away from negligence of a doctor who gave him the wrong type of medication. So much of it, it put arsenic into his body. And from there, it was just downhill. They had actually been childhood sweethearts at some point before my grandfather and my grandmother had got together and had my uncles and my mom. So that's something. My heart really, really hurts for her right now. Not just because she lost someone, but because I'm afraid she'll lose the desire to keep fighting. You've all probably seen something like this before. And if not, I hope you never do. Sometimes when someone loses the person they leaned on every day for everything, no matter what it was, they can just change. Sometimes they can snap out of it, and sometimes they don't. Talk about how loneliness affects older adults. She can barely get around, fend for herself, um, has a really hard time cooking. And boy, do I miss her cooking. Waking up to biscuits and gravy, homemade from scratch, from the biscuits to the gravy, y'all. If it wasn't for her, I would have never learned how to cook. I don't know what the future holds. But the future holds us. And then you guys, there's my stepdad, but he's my dad. And you guys, we'll talk about that another time. But he's been through so much. He recently had major abdominal surgery, 28 staples. He's finally made it into a rehabilitation center. And if you know him, God, are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking? The hell these people are going to go through. But also, if he can just keep his hopes high and in good spirits, they will also get the loving side of him, which not a lot of people know, but if you know, then you know. And we all know how stubborn he is. Let's just be honest about that one. That guy has more lives than a cat, I swear, and he does, he really does. That's another thing, if you know, you know. But even when somebody is strong, it still makes you think. It reminds you that life changes so fast. One phone call, one surgery, one accident, one diagnosis. Everything can be different. And it can get very different. I'm so grateful. My grandmother is very strong. She has survived death so many times. She has lost two husbands, two companions, her two sons. She has fought cancer, kicked cancer's ass. Um, I remember I was just a baby and she had brain surgery. Uh, so she, she's been through it. She's strong. And my dad he's a tough ass, so he's strong, right? No matter what. But why don't we talk about death? I think one of the biggest problems is nobody wants to talk about death until they're forced to. We avoid it. We change the subject. We act like if we ignore it, it won't happen, right? But the truth is, talking about death reminds us to appreciate life more. At least I hope it does. Many things in life can happen to us or to other people that we witness, and that can make us appreciate it. But I believe certain deaths or just how things happen makes us appreciate life. And if it doesn't, maybe you need to pay more attention. You need to wake up. Have any of you told someone that you love them lately? Have you forgiven someone recently? Or maybe you need to? Have you checked on your loved ones, your close ones, close friends? Check in. Maybe it's a coworker. Just check in. So, I really don't have answers for tonight's conversations. At least not right now. I don't know if death comes in threes. I don't know if we can actually feel when it's nearby. But I can't explain the things that I feel. I don't know why some people leave too soon while others seem to be impossible odds. What I do know is that every loss reminds me not to waste the time we have. Call your family, tell people you love them, stop waiting for someday because someday isn't promised to any of us. And if you're listening tonight and you've lost someone recently, I hope you know you're not alone. Grief doesn't have a timeline. It's okay to miss people. It's okay to laugh again. It's okay to cry years later. That's just love with nowhere to go. So tonight, we're going to cut it just a few minutes short. I'm going to get out there and try and fish because the other day I was catching them back to back. Some fat cats. But thank you for hanging out with me tonight here in the car. As always, this isn't just my podcast, it's our conversation. So tell me, do you believe death comes in threes? Have you ever felt like death was somehow close before someone passed? Or do you think it's just coincidence? I'd really love to hear y'all's stories. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and don't forget to tell someone you love them. Good night, everybody.